possibilities for teams where we're used to seeing them in best of ones, where we don't get to see their entire map pool. Because that's the thing about best of ones. You can get away with playing like a bare minimum of like 4 or 5 maps. You can kind of sack away 2 of those. But in a best of 3, you don't really have that same possibilities and limits. And Cafe is a map which we haven't really seen a whole lot from either side. It could be a nice one to see, but it depends if we get to that, or will somebody 2-0.
There's definitely potential for a 2-0 here from both sides. I think honestly, a big quick shout out as well to the coaches of each team, Virus for Luminosity, and of course Ecol or Luke for Disrupt, who recently picked it up. He just recently joined Disrupt actually as their coach. So we'll see Jackal and Capital already bans on the board here for Consulate. Capital definitely a common ban, but Jackal's kind of a weird one I think here, but my show will be banned out by Luminosity. A Disrupt will be left with the final ban here. Could be an Echo. I think it's probably more leaning towards an Echo. We talk about Mirror on Consulate, not exactly a strong mirror map. So we'll have a look at what they want to indeed do here. But I'm leaning towards the Echo here. No.
Valk.
I mean, that's a good ban as well. We talked a lot about Valkyrie during the last matchup as well. And while she wasn't banned, she wasn't really utilized that much either. Consulate, something that Ace always says quite a lot about. You throw 2 Valkyrie cameras outside and you've basically got complete coverage of the outside.
Yes, a rectangle. You cover each corner. You cover north, I'm trying to get my bearings. You cover southwest, and then you cover northeast, and that's everything covered.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Definitely, definitely. So, we'll move into round number 1. It's going to be Disrupt Gaming who starts on the defense. So, a couple of quick notes about this roster as well. You may notice that Mo Digger is no longer playing for Disrupt Gaming. He's in fact joined Evil Geniuses. And we've seen Carnage move into the roster instead. So, and also Thumbus as well, who's relatively new to the roster. So, we'll see round number 1 getting underway, and 6 picks will come out. Be the Nomad being brought by Thomas, and I think, you know, if you're playing Consulate and you're playing a team like Disrupt, you want to be bringing that Nomad, of course, pretty much every single round. We'll see Luminosity, they're going to start on the attack, and lineup-wise, I'm kind of thinking console push, but really could go either way. The Thermite is a big question mark for me here.
So our Breachers are all available. None of them got banned out. That is Jackal and Capitao. Jackal is a strange one, because yes, Consulate is like a nice big roaming map for a lot of defense-sided wins in terms of the off-site hold, but Jackal, I feel, is a lot better suited to bigger maps where you do have difficulty, because on kind of like for Consulate, because it's that small, it's pretty easy to find out where the defenders are, because you pretty much hear them from the other side of the map, because that's how small it is. But if you kind of look at the Capitao ban, that's a great one, because Capitao is just, I think, a universally great operator for every single attack. But specifically, whenever you can sanction off different anchor positions, such as the connector with the fire arrows and in towards Bathroom as well, and have that smoke, it helps a lot, because Capitao kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone by eliminating, you know, literally enemies by the connectors and different ways that you would have issues with. But then you also get the added effect of the smokes as well, which is kind of like the big payoff you get.
Yeah, that is true, but it looks like Luminosity, mainly for this admin side take, if you with this admin side take, you really need either nades or Havana, or really ideally both, but they've not brought either of those. Luminosity, seeing what they can do here, just trying to open everything up, and Hyena going to be moving on to the balcony as well to give covering fire, and a bit of crossfire here as well. Definitely a powerful angle that he'll set up here, as well as bringing out his drone, and Doodle looking to rotate, it looks like.
Okay, so Luminosity, they will go full in for the admin side of things. So, for this to work, they first of all need to clear off any roamers below, and there will be one of those in the form of Yeti with the Pulse. And, well, the Pulse here, he can, of course, deny the plant, but the information that you can gather, it's such a small map, everything is so close to each other, the amount of information it's crazy. If you go down all the way to the bottom floor, you can see people on the second floor. That's how just small it is. And for Luminosity, if they want to make this successful admin, they need to put an end to that information being gathered. And as I say that, they have put pressure on the Yeti, and he has to fall back now into Piano, as everybody else from Luminosity is gearing up and ready for the push. Echo Drone gets eliminated by Factor on the IQ, and well, now it looks to be a lot easier for Disrupt Gaming to kinda, I was about to say, hold this off. And now it's just turned into Luminosity, who are trying to push in, but Disrupt just take that. That was a really weird round, how that played out.
I'm amazed that Yeti was able to pick up a kill downstairs, and a lot of that was eliminated, but yeah, Disrupt able to hold on and will, surprisingly, take the first round. Things were looking pretty good for Luminosity there to start with. I mean,
yeah,
taking the Echo Drones off the board as well. But all kind of fell apart there at the end. Some aggressive moves coming out from Disrupt will secure them their first round here on Consulate, and look at that, everyone's got a kill.
I don't know if it was because they thought that the Pulse would like play a lot more of like a bigger role, and if they seen the opportunity where he was like not below Circle Desk and he was in towards Piano, then they kind of take the initiative and think, oh, go now before he C4s us. But they still had like a good 30 seconds to kind of clear out the smokes and whatever else was still lurking around. I don't know, Luminosity just running a little bit too fast for my liking, and they can definitely slow it down a notch, but you know, it's a very young team who has a lot of potential still to grow. You know, we've seen them back in Challenger League as 92 Dream Team where they managed to cause an upset and made it into Pro League and everything around that. But then for Luminosity, they had, you know, an absolute barn burner of a start through Pro League. You never expect that from the new dogs on the block. I say that as Navi, well, like they kind of did in EU as well coming from it. They started to slow down and they kind of got brought back down to reality. You look at their DreamHack Montreal performance, there is none at all. They look to be in a really tough spot. USN as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's another topic that we can talk about.
Well, don't forget as well, since then, they dropped Drip, they dropped Pixel, and they've now picked up Factor, who, you know, has definitely been doing the work here, and Luminosity is being able to get a couple of wins up on the board with him. So, we'll see how things are going to continue to go down for Luminosity as we move into round number 2. Mira being picked up here by Disrupt.
Yeah, for the Garage, that makes a lot of sense. She is great at the vision that she can provide, not so much the denial. It's a bit of a tough one killing people running in from that mirror window because it doesn't give you a clear line of sight. It is quite a distance away, but just the sheer intel of being able to see somebody run in, it's invaluable for your team to really have that. Then the C4s can kind of coordinate in towards that. So a lot of information. There's 4 information operators there. Well, you could kind of count Mozzie, but he has to go and find his own information to do so. But you still have like a myriad of operators there that can do a great job. They have really geared up for the kind of dig your heels in strategy.
Yeah, you definitely do. It's like Echo Drones are going to finally be deployed by Carnage. Maybe. Hopefully. Yokai Drones, maybe. I think he's just saving these because he knows that maybe the Twitch drone managed to get in early last time. We do have an IQ up as well from Factor, yet again from Luminosity. So slow but steady progress being moved by Luminosity here. They have pretty much everything they need to be able to take the Garage here. So Factor's still upstairs. Airjab does get detonated, however, just downstairs below him. And Rexton's going to be aware the potential flank does come through, but the Nitro comes out before he can do any of that. Yeti with a great opening pick is going to take the sledge off the board. That's Naze going down, but there's also the vertical pressure being alleviated. Yeah,
soft destruction, you're lacking that now for your attack in towards Garage, and well, there's so many positions in that massive room that defenders will use and abuse against you, and Hyena does just dash straight in. Gets 1 kill, but that's all he does get, and now Luminosity look as if they have kind of fluffed it in this round, especially losing that soft destruction and Disrupt. Using everything at their utility. They've been great with the operators that they've chosen. It's just the correct blend of a little bit of spice there with the C4s, but also a little bit of coolness with the mirror window, still being able to hunker down and hold it as firm as you can. So Luminosity look as if they're going to get, yet again, another attack loss in Consulate, but I would say with the kind of bans that have came out, it can be pretty tough for teams to execute on the Garage without using the Capitao.
Factor's going to try and do his work here on the backside. Oh, he takes 1 down. Bombus is out of it, but instantly does get traded out. Disrupt take round number 2, and they're looking very dominant right now here on Consulate. This is looking really good for them, and this is bad for Luminosity considering that this was Luminosity's map pick. Even though they've just lost attacking 2 core sites, we could say, you would think that Luminosity would be a lot more kind of dominant in this series.
Yeah, Luminosity are the clear favorites to win this. You know, both of them are sitting 4th, but one of them are sitting 4th in Challenger League, and one of them is sitting 4th in Pro League, and well, Luminosity, you guys are the Pro League team. We expect you just to be kind of turning over these Tier 2, Tier 3 teams, similar to how every other region has turned around. You look at Latin America, all the big teams who were favored to win, they won their matches. You look at EU, exactly the same over there. NA has been the only one which has been a lot more, I would say, difficult for Pro League teams to really find their footing. You look at Rogue, who had, you know, just barely got away with that. Even Sonics, who looked weak at points. Even SSG going against the Mechs and team of Ferris, they also had weaknesses in their border matchup.
Yeah, that is very true. So we have seen kind of a lot of surprise matchups come out of this. Let's see if this is going to be another one, but Disrupt and Luminosity definitely looking a little closer here than maybe other people would expect. We are going to be going to that lobby press room defense here, and looks like we're going to see mirror windows going down onto the side of printer or copy room or paper or whatever you want to call it.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Many words you can call it. A lot of different words that kind of like correlate to whatever region you're in as well, which is a bit of a strange one. You know, if I was like to ever play with like an NA guy, they'd be calling out like a call-out that I was like, what in the world is that? So he's a strange one.
Yeah.
How did Comfy and Slevin feel, man? Poor guys.
Well, I mean, you know, there you have call-out sheet maps, so it's not too bad, I suppose. But getting into the round now, we'll see, of course, another mirror window going down. Inside the bathroom is very, very, very common. There's no, like, vertical play you can try and bring in there, so it's the mirror window in bathroom is definitely a very powerful position to be brought in. Claymore's going to go down outside copy. We'll see Luminosity Gaming seeing what they can do on their attack, looking mostly to go from that top floor downwards so far.
Stay back.
So, Luminosity, they're trying to find their main footing towards the top floor, but they haven't made a lot of headway. Sure, they've took admin control, but that's not the area that Disrupt are holding. They're more towards the west side and towards console. I would like to see somebody from Luminosity now rotate over towards like where B windows would be on top floor, towards the console office, and that just sanctions everything. It gives you like another option to push in from, and it also would probably catch Disrupt by surprise. The thing about top floor is that it's so wide, and you need to have different angles. That's the main thing that they're kind of lacking. They're all trying to push from one way, and you're just going to be met by more resistance every single time. You need to just find an approach somewhere else.
Talking about that resistance, Spades will kick things off at Disrupt, and oh my god, what a nice angle from Carnage. He will take Doodle crazy off the board. That's Habana and already Nomad off the board for Luminosity. This is looking awful for them right now, as Disrupt have so much utility still up remaining. Factor is going to try and make his way prone through the Visa side and see what he can do instead on this side. But 1 minute left to go on the clock. This is looking awful for Luminosity right now.
See if they can pull it back, though. Because there is still potential whenever Rexons have the twitch, but yeah, that's it done. That's the nail in the coffin. Slowly closing for Luminosity, and already Disrupt, they have looked exemplary on their kind of rotations and then holes they've kind of made, and everything in between that. They've just looked on their game. I like the positioning and the kind of companionship between defenders. They're always working in twos. They're never leaving anybody by themselves. But Luminosity, on the other hand, they have literally been trying to win 1v1s and just tried to push in by themselves, and refrag potential is never really existent. And Disrupt, flawless. So, all of a sudden, we have a hiccup. And I don't know what Luminosity do now.
Loads of cross angles just being set up constantly there by Disrupt, and you're all right, like there's a lot of solo play coming out from Luminosity, especially when they start to lose that early man count to just really aggressive peaks coming out from Disrupt. We'll see round number 4 getting underway, but this is not looking good at all for Luminosity. This is not a scoreline that they should be looking at now, but now they've seen all 3 defenses, now they should be very familiar with what Disrupt want to do here. Now we should start to see a Luminosity that knows a little bit more about what they want to do here, and already seeing the Buck Habana combo tells me this admin take should be a little bit more successful than it was last time.
Disrupt have played Consulate twice in their Challenge League run so far, and they played Akatsuki, and they drew on that map, but then they also played Obey, and they beat them 7-5. And that is one of 2 losses that Obey were given this season. And, well, we've talked about Obey before. They have had an absolute rampant run. We still have yet to see them play in this competition. They come for play to number 3 of North America. And I'm expecting some pretty high stuff from them as well. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this team will fare in like a best-of-3 format where we haven't really seen them in before.
Yeah, that is true. We haven't seen a lot of best of threes coming out. We did see them when they weren't OBA, but before they were OBA with their previous log, we did see them play the major calls, and they actually got quite far in that during the best of threes online calls. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that OBA should be able to do a little bit of damage there. But moving back into this round number 4, we will see a lot of adaptation coming out from Luminosity. I definitely prefer this lineup compared to the lineup that they brought the first time they attacked it.
Yeah, they have. I feel Buck's a lot better than the Sledge. You're a lot less prone to C4 potentially, where you don't have to, get the hammer, put it down, get the hammer in your back again. It's just, it takes a while, whereas Buck can just go straight in, rip it up, and do whatever he wants to.
But also, mainly, I'm looking like purely an admin take coming out here that should be really successful. And like they should be able to like book out the top of projectile, throw nades over it. Habana can get that from a long time away, so that kind of setup and that kind of execute can go really well for you. But it looks like they're not even pushing that set at all. They're actually going to go for a console take here.
Yeah, and I've seen before where teams will specifically go for the yellow stairs just because they bring the Buck, just to go ahead and execute in the piano. And I'm always a big believer that like every defense revolves around piano on Consulate, because it is pinnacle for every single floor. They've droned out Yeti and have made, the Nomad combo. Actually kind of flung him out of the sights of the Buck, but it doesn't matter whenever Factor's there to pick up the frag. For the first time, Luminosity actually looking like they have a bit of a structure, but still a lot of work to do. And more importantly, Thumbus on yellow will be the next man they need to try and take care of.
Yeah, he definitely will be. He's not been doing too bad at this series at all. He's actually going to ADS trick. I like this. Waiting for the flashes to come down to Benny's first ADS, putting down a second ADS, and that should save him from a nade if it did come down, potentially from Rexon. But Spades holding down this nice angle onto benches and see what he can do for the potential flank position coming out. As Carnage holding down, making sure that no one can push through those console or windows, with Thumba still playing on the top of yellow. They're still going to know he's there. Potentially they think they've burned his ADS, but Spades makes his play! And he comes in all the way from the bottom of benches and takes his freebies on the board. It's all down to Hyena and Doodle to try and bring this in, but this is looking awful right now for Luminosity.
Oh, Luminosity. It looked so well. You had everything set up for the yellow execute, and then Spade says no, and Disrupt. They have really taken this match to the next level. They have looked solid in everything they do. The rotations is what I'm really impressed about. Rotations and positioning will win you games because it doesn't look as if like it's the biggest thing, just rotate. But those are like the big moments that kind of like define plays for the most part. How many times have we seen someone just pop up because they made a play? James, you either make the play or the play makes you.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Harry. But moving through to round number 5, these next 2 rounds are going to be critical.
Solid fours.
For
Look
Luminosity.
at that. That is,
yeah. There's a reference we could make there. I'm not gonna make it, but yeah.
Hashtag
Constant fragging out, coming out across the disrupts.
I don't care.
As they're gonna move down to that downstairs defense, and this is just awful for Luminosity right now. They're just unable to contain this early aggression coming out from Disrupt at all. They're able to isolate defenders at start, and then all of a sudden they find themselves in a crossfire, and Disrupt have done a really good job at setting up these weird crossfires as well.
I kind of feel as if Disrupt bait Luminosity into going for a specific push. You see that, he was playing in bathroom. That kind of edges on Luminosity just to go ahead and actually just commit full time to the yellow stairs push. And that's what Disrupt wanted them to go for, is that yellow stairs. The way they were set up with the rotation into bathroom, they were never, I think, expecting the first round from Luminosity to be the admin take. They weren't expecting that, which was still very well held by them, and I think that's kind of comes down to the fact that Echo is on the board and Smoke, and just the amount of information has been a really big thing that Disrupt have focused on, which I'm glad to see that they have, because Consulate is all about knowing where your enemies are, because it's so small. There's no real way that you can really go for east side. They're very, very rare. Every bit of action comes from west side. So if you find out that information early on, you can just set up appropriately, because I never see any crazy rotations. Everybody pushes from one way. If you choose, backside or front, there's no real in between. You always have to go for the way that you're committed to.
Despite the fact that their defense worked last time with the mirror, they've opted not to bring the mirror at this time, and I actually really like this from Disrupt, that they're staying ahead of the curve, and they're staying adaptable, they're using different defenses, And you can tell, like, just by playing like this, means that they really do want it on the board. I don't know why Yeti just shot his own battery there, but potentially you thought maybe a drone was coming or something like that, but we'll see. Thumba still roaming upstairs.
They've went for a really heavy roam game this time around. Compared to bringing the mirror window, they've added in a lot more aggression to kind of their mix. Already, a C4 off the rip has landed at the yellow door, and Factor has died to it. How's he died to it? I don't know.
Well, he will die to it. An explosive repercussions coming through there from Spades. As Luminosity looking to try and maybe rotate their push a little bit here. In fact, quite heavily, as Doodle is going to rotate all the way outside instead. And just, Luminosity just look lost right now to what they want to do, but
Okay,
Visa push is going to be coming through, and that's like the backside take coming through. Potentially could be a good play coming up from them. They are going to be dedicating a thermite charge to that, as well as Rexon pushing all the way up and looking what he can do on those Visa stairs. Logic Bomb is going to be deployed, making sure there's no roamers up there, and they are going to find their first pick here throughout the round. Thomas already going to move in, takes up space for free. That's the pulse off the board, so quite a lot of info off the board for Disrupt.
I still feel as if this is suicide from Luminosity. The whole point why east side pushes don't work is because you'd literally have to walk through solid doorways. There's no like vertical destruction you can really apply to the back end. There's no any soft walls or anything. You just have to push through doorways, and that bottlenecks you as a team. Whenever there's smokes and C4s and echoes all on the table, it's just not going to work. And as I say, the collapse comes in. There's no smokes on the side of Luminosity, and they're just feeding Disrupt. But Hyena, all of a sudden, he's come out of nowhere, and so is Thomas, and it's 1v2 now. And Reed has to go for it, and well, Luminosity, all thanks to the IQ, Hyena especially, they've made a round work where it really shouldn't have.
I think it's because they went for that duo push, right? Like, they flood from different sides, and Luminosity were able to pick up quite a lot there. I think big difference of what they did there to what they did in previous rounds is that LG were kind of trying to make a push work that wasn't working, and just push pretty much all from one side. But this time, a little bit more coordination from them, coming out from two different sides, and we'll see how things go through. This is still another critical round for Luminosity. They do need this win if they hope to bring in the map, but Disrupt still looking really, really good here, I think.
And they go back to their heavy anchor setup, bringing the Mira. Going for the Clash 6 pick to try and bait in Luminosity, but I don't really think they care about that specific operator whenever they're bringing Sophia and Nomad consistently anyway, which are the two great counters to Clash. And Capital was another one, but he is banned this match. So now Garage. It will be their more sit-on-site kind of mechanic. We're not going to see the same roam game. Still consistently bringing the Pulse, which is always an added bonus to your team. Whenever you play Consulate, I feel as if Pulse is like one of the best operators. This is like his best map.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, there's been a lot of good info coming out from there. You can kind of just sit in archives and you can see exactly where that push is coming from. And that's kind of like the main thing for me, or like what you can see what's going on. And obviously, again, we have Thumbus up on that roam, and you can be able to do a decent amount of stuff with that. Just barricading out Boiler so that if anyone drops down there, they're going to be able to hear what is going to be going on that side if they do go for that backside take again. So, a little bit of change up in strategy here, again from Luminosity. They've not brought the Dokubi this time, they brought Zofia. And Factor has gone from playing on the IQ to playing on the Twitch to now playing on the Ash. So this guy really needs his kills.
Yep. I don't know. Now you're kind of slacking on the soft destruction. You're missing the sledge or the buck. That does a real number. And whenever they're bringing out, you know, the Thermite to kind of open up that triple wall, you want to try and assist him as much as you can by bringing the soft destruction. Sure, there's no Bandit or Kaid being brought by Disrupt, so you don't have to worry about that. And Thatcher was kind of seen from Luminosity during like the early rounds, but since then they've kind of dropped off of that operator because they've seen that there hasn't been like much, you know, use for him apart from the Garage, and even at that, Disrupt in their lineup. They don't really, you know, mind the wall being opened. Fumbus just strolls in.
Oh no! Oh, Factor's gonna be mad about that one.
He just says, you know what, guys? This is my piano room. Get out.
I think that's the third time now that Factor's been the opening death. It's not good. It's not good. Thumba's still on the devastating roam game as well, and the fact that he's just allowed to do that is ridiculous. He's got the pulse coming out from below as well from Spades, who should be able to communicate that Anti-Chamber is actually clear right now, and he should be able to push down there and do exactly what he can. And push is still going to be coming through. Thumbus waiting for someone to try and rotate through Anti, but this is looking really, really good right now for the Shrub to be able to bring this in. Yeti should be able to pull out a C4 here if he wants, but it looks like they're still waiting for Thumbus to try and do what he can on the flank.
Okay, Disrupt. You have all the control. You have everything utility-wise still locked and loaded. You have Echrodrome's position, however, IQ is still on the table for Luminosity. But more importantly, you have that roamer that clearly Luminosity are terrified to push against. They have left Thomas on the flank, and pretty much now it's a 3-on-4 for the rest of the guys, bar Thomas, to actually make this work, because his one job is to try and hold Fombus as much as they can. I would honestly like to see Spades go upstairs and help Fombus and have then the 2v1 against the flank hold. That would be great, because even if one does get traded off, you still have the refrag potential there for you, and that does then give you the top floor control that, of course, you can use and abuse as people try and walk on in.
It's like Thumbus has made these way down into Anti-Chamber to see what he can do here. It looks like they know he's here. He gets hit by the air jump and then gets hit by the Nomad as well. Thomas takes him down. Hyena finds his own frag, and the plant starts to go down from Doodle. 15 seconds left to go on the clock. Spade's going to move up and try and deny the plant where he can. The prone peek comes out as well from Rexon, and it's all down to Carnage to try and make it work. He gets the down onto Doodle, but can't make it work. And Luminosity take round number 6, and they keep themselves in the game. A very sloppy start for Luminosity, but they've managed to bring it back.
They've picked it up, and now they get to have fun on the defense. That was, Disrupt kind of threw that round away. They had the opening pick. I still feel as if they had the Pulse rotate upstairs along with the Mozzie, they would have had a better chance of winning that engagement, and probably a better chance of winning the round, because then you have that upstairs pressure that you can still apply to Luminosity, who were pushing into sight again. Hyena just popping up with the important kills that kind of sway Luminosity's favor. You know, pulling it back and give them a man advantage. He's been great at doing that so far this game.
I'm surprised that Space didn't hear, either he didn't hear or he didn't care about the air jab in Anti, but it seemed weird for him to want to push that like that. But we're going to move in anyway to round number 7. It's going to be Luminosity Gaming's first defense, and they're going to opt to go upstairs to a console office defense. So, what do you think about the lineup from Disrupt here? Because they've also opted to bring Thermite into their first lineup.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a safety pick in case it is a garage. But then again, Luminosity, they do have the castle on side. So kind of would lead you to believe that, you know, maybe they're not going for it. I kind of feel as if castle on top floor can be a little bit underutilized, where I don't feel as if he has that strong castle barricades that he can place down. You know, you may be first off thinking, oh, but he can place it on the connector window, and that denies anybody shooting your guy inside of connector. It's an outside castle barricade. It's not a big, difficult, high-risk play for attackers to get rid of that. You know, you can safely, you know, just go ahead and breach and charge that even if you want to. There is tons of potential for you to do so. Sure, it wastes some utility, but in the long run, I don't really think it helps that much.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's just like, you know, you waste a bit of time. If it's one of those things where you don't want to put castles inside to, you know, that will limit your rotation ability, you want to keep it on the outside, just waste a bit of time, waste a bit of utility. Gives your guy on yellow a little bit more time to play with, so
yeah, but
I think
then
that's kind of
again,
the idea
you could have
behind
just like brought a pulse. There's like other operators there that would have gave you a lot more value, you know, buck for its bang.
Yeah, I suppose. But Factor's going to pick up the castle anyway, and Disrupt are going to begin their first attack here on Consular. That's exactly what they want to do here. Looks like it's going to be mainly an admin take from their side. And again, like, I feel like without a Hibana, it's pretty difficult to actually go for this admin take, because projector wall's a big issue.
Disrupt may be looking for the vertical gameplay that they can play from below. You can send your buck in towards Circle Desk. He can open up specifically below the smoke. That'll be the big kill that they're kind of fishing for, because as we know, in the meta, where time is key, Smoker can waste a lot of that. That's a strong operator that the defense have on their side, and if attack gets rid of that very early on without Smoke really doing any damage, then that's a big plus. But Luminosity have geared up, expecting that, as they have the downstairs control still in their hand. They have players in towards bathroom, and also the fact that they're C4 operators, that's going to help them in the long run. Of course, it kind of forces, I would say, Disrupt to push the C4, because if they try and flood in the bomb site, that one C4 could basically end everything.
Yeah, it definitely could end everything very, very, very quickly indeed. Thumbus already very low HP, but Disrupt overall still looking good to try and bring in this take. Factor moving down to bench to see what he can do from that side. Behind a very long angle coming out from the bathroom, as well as Echo Drone still up in the site. Like Thomas is going to try and push through from below, but it's going to be Rexon and Factor both picking up their entry frag space, and Thumbus go down to headshots, and Rexon trying to make something work here, pushing aggressively, takes Reed down off of the info from the Echo Drone, and now he's regained so much control. Yeti's going to fight back, however, but Carnage does get traded out. It's all down to Yeti onto bottom spiral to try and make something work here. 20 seconds left to go on the clock. They know exactly where he is, but Yeti just deletes Rexon, and that's much, much better from him, but he's got the work to do. He's got to find 3 more if he wants to bring this in, and he's only got about 10 seconds left to do it with. No grenades from him either as well. He does not have any utility, and this is not looking good at all. He does manage to find Doodle though, but not able to find yet another one. No, oh my god, he misses some shots. He does actually find Thomas. Oh my god, he could have clutched that if anyone else had peeked, but no, he doesn't be able to bring it in. Luminosity take round number 7. Much, much better coming out from them, but actually almost completely thrown away right there at the end.
A nice try. Nice try. That's what we could say. But, again, it's the championship match that matters, not the heats, isn't it?
That's
you
true.
can't win that last match. Doesn't matter.
So, moving into round number 8, we will go downstairs to the cafeteria and garage defense here for Luminosity. And we'll have a little bit of a look about how this is going to go down. They're bringing the mirror. This may be 6 pick, but no, Thomas is going to 6 pick onto the Bandit. It's definitely a welcome addition to this lineup, and I think from what LG is bringing, it's pretty standard, and really both teams are bringing a pretty standard lineup. So
It's basic enough.
Ooh, Alan, what do you think about that? With Thumbus 6 pick onto the Twitch.
Well, they're not fearing Maestro because he's banned, and that's kind of like the go-to operator to kind of deal with Maestro cameras in Garage, because your drone can come in through the drone hole. It's a very minimal risk. We never really see that many defenders skirting around towards White Van or Black Car if that breach is open. I doubt that the mirror windows is going to be the thing they're targeting, because that's going to be a tough one to get your drone in towards a small office without anybody destroying it. If he makes it work, then hey, fair play to the guy, but it's going to be a big ass from him.
Did he zapped the Bandit while he was coming through that garage drone hole? Wow.
Just give him the call out, you know.
Give him the call out. That's what you gotta do. That's what Twitch mains do.
Not as if they're talking to each other and, you know.
Well, he's just going to make sure, you know, that everyone knows.
Just gotta make sure. And just, yeah, let everybody know. Just the entire chat.
So, moving into our number 8's action phase now. We'll see exactly what Disrupt want to do here with their take, but with their lineup, it's looking very much like a pure garage side take, but it's going to start out with an upside clear.
Okay, so Disrupt, they're respecting Luminosity and the fraggers that they do have at their side. Roam game, I think, from Luminosity could be applied, but it doesn't look as if they're going to try and go for that option. Instead, they're looking for the hunker down. You know, whenever you see Jaeger on site, then you kind of expect the non-roam game. But Disrupt, giving them that kind of safety of making sure nobody is around. It takes, you know, around a minute to really sweep in towards the top floor. Once they get everything droned out, they realize nobody's there. There's a quick rotation to the mid floor, and Yeti can start doing a lot of damage. Typically for basements, and we can kind of say that about like every map that has like a really slow process for a bomb site. Time is always going to be at your side as the attacker if you can clear out the roamers quick enough. Whenever you have a minute 30 to start getting in and opening up everything you need to and use the utility. But the first thing for them they have to deal with is C4s all being held by Luminosity, ready to go. And Thomas, who did get bucked from above, who was that bandit attempting to deny the access to the Thermite, well, now he's going to be forced away, and the wall can be opened up. So far for Disrupt, they've done everything correct, but how well can they see it through and actually win this round? Because it will be an important one if they do so.
In fact, they're getting very risky with this Nitro here, but unable to find a kill just yet. It would look like he's still going to put it down as a pre-place for now and detonate it, but unable to find any pick from it. Rexon looking to move up Spiral to try and affect some of this roam clear coming out here, as we do see Yeti doing some work into piano. They've got the wall open, they've got the rotates cut off. Now all it really needs from Disrupt is a little bit of a plant going down. They've got plenty of time to do it with just about a minute left on the clock, but there's still Echo drones up as well to deny it.
Luminosity now just holding firm. Not a lot of pressure being applied by Disrupt as of yet. Sure, they have the vertical game that has forced Luminosity away. I'll be curious to see if they want to go for a retake towards the mid-floor. There is a Nomad on Disrupt, which I'm sure has air jabbed off nearly every rotation that Luminosity will want to go for, as Diffuser will start to try and be initiated, but Smoke is there, and still having that cover of the mirror window, they can try and play around with it. Ecotron does get rotated in, but Reed, well, he's read into that very well and will be able to destroy that. And another smoke gets tossed in, and now time is starting to slip away from Disrupt, but Luminosity, they do equalize with a couple of kills themselves to balance it out, and now Disrupt, they've just fell apart at the seams for the final seconds, and Luminosity, they hold it. Disrupt, they had everything right. Everything was correct that they did, but the final question, the final exam, they failed.
I think as well, just being able to try and give themselves more time to try and push in there and do something. There was so many plant denial options up for Disrupt for Luminosity, where they had Echo Drones up, they had Smokes up, they have Rexon to be able to play aggressively as well to try and push in, and yeah, round number 9 looking pretty good so far for Luminosity across this map. They managed to bring it back a bit, but also, you know, Luminosity on their attacks, they were looking exactly like this. How they have everything set up and then all of a sudden they push in and they're all dead. So Disrupt, you know, we shouldn't count them out of this just yet.
One thing that I kind of have realized from both teams is that they don't like to bring smoke grenades. And for those Garage, those are pretty pinnacle in to sanction off different areas, because if you look at the way that they positioned and tried to go in for the plant, that mirror window was still giving the vision that Luminosity needed. If you were to smoke off, that would obscure the sight line of Luminosity, and you could plant in positions that they were not aware of, because it was pretty standard to see he was always planting for the white van. That's why he got killed by the smoke. If they had smokes to try and conceal that, it could have worked. So an operator like Gridlock even could be an option. We know that Jackal and Capitao, who are kind of go-to smokers as well. That's a tough one.
Yeah, no, that is very true. I think, you know, Gridlock, we've seen it a decent amount already today, especially on Cafe. So Gridlock could definitely work here for smokes, but yeah, other than that, I really just don't see any kind of like viable smoke options. But moving through to round number 9, we still won't see any smokes coming through just yet. But we'll have a look at what Disrupt want to do for this lobby press room attack. And don't forget, this is the first time we've seen him attack here, and this is kind of considered a bit of an offsite, I think.
Yeah, well, it's a tertiary. It's favored more so than the split bomb site, which you really need to run your stuff and know exactly what you're doing to make that a success. I think we've seen that from, I want to say it was Rogue that attempted that one on their map whenever they played Consulate against Okami, and well, it did work for them actually as well, so we have seen success, but that was the only time we actually seen that happen, and I don't think that either of these teams would be ones to really jump that ship and try and go for the split bombs. I think Lobby just suits them better in terms of the fragging potential that they can get with ACOGs in this map specifically, and it gives a lot more flexibility. And you even look at Disrupt in their lobby hold, they were really loose in towards that top floor, and it made a real struggle for Luminosity to kind of sanction off and who they wanted to kill.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have a look at how the rest of this starts to go down as Disrupt starts to gain that early control, but Rexon holding down to the bathroom, looking down into benches, and having a few open kill holes. Not as heavily upstairs played as Disrupt were playing it, but Luminosity still holding on regardless, and have brought that mirror along as well.
Yeah, Mira just, I think, give them a little bit more safety factor whenever you're going up against Disrupt. Habana also being picked up and gonna use those X-Kairoses on that main wall in towards the meeting room, but as we know, nobody from Luminosity has any interest in heavily holding the upstairs. Sure, they put like a little bit of utility to kind of scare away Disrupt and say, hey, we maybe might be holding this, but they just gave them free access. But they've already ate up 2 minutes off the round, and Disrupt have yet to make any headway at all in towards the building. There is nothing right now that Disrupt can say they have control of, and LG, they have everything going for them. The smokes, the echo drones, even Legion is still making goo mines. I'm sure Factor has a C4. It just looks so good for Luminosity.
Yeah, it definitely does, and that timer is definitely ticking down. We've still got smokes up on the body, as you say. There's just so much denial options as well. Factor below with that nitro, of course, as well. Should be able to go through from the hatch, but it's going to be Carnage who kicks things off with his entry frag onto Thomas. So now you're going to be wide peeking around. Does see one. No, tries to pick him up with the timing, and that's going to get him eliminated in a crossfire from Thumbus as Doodle finds one in return. But big rotate from Rexon to try and come through benches. Just get found out by Yeti, who's holding that spiral. Carnage moves in and gets his own kill, but oh no, it's all falling apart as Factor tries to rotate upstairs to try and get a kill of his own, but Disrupt take the round. Beautifully done from them, and that's given them momentum back to them a little bit.
So we've seen 4 straight rounds from Disrupt, and then we've seen 4 straight rounds from Luminosity in response, but now Disrupt, they broke away from the pack. So that does leave them kind of in the driving position, because there is still that top floor that they had a real hard time cracking down from Luminosity. They also have to go up against the garage as well soon after that. I feel as if Luminosity still have everything going for them right now, and I think that they will pull it back. I could say a 6-5 scoreline, and it does come down to yet again another lobby. I think that's the most predictable one to go for.
I mean, honestly, I can really just feel an OT coming here.
Yeah, I think it's looming.
Because, you know, they can win console, they can win the garage again, but then Disrupt can go back to that lobby attack, and you know, that was looking pretty flawless from them, and Luminosity seemed to really struggle with shutting down that early aggression to come out and shutting down the eventual crossfires that would be established by Disrupt. And I think that's something throughout this map so far that Disrupt have been so good at doing that on paper, Disrupt have worse gun skill here than Luminosity. But establishing crossfires all the time, they're not allowing Luminosity to make any of these solo plays that they want to make. They're just shutting them down altogether, and they're just either crossfiring them or trading them straight up.
Whereas if you look at Disrupt, Luminosity allowed Disrupt to get those crossfires and those crazy single moment plays.
Yes.
It's a bit of a weird kind of comparison to make, but they kind of do things opposite to each other. Yes, there's similarities in how they hold different bomb sites, but that's just generic across everybody who knows how to play Consulate. But definitely their playstyles, they're very different in how they kind of go about things. So now Disrupt, they have to take on the top floor. They had a real tough time doing it the last time, and it was simply due to LG just fragging out. There was not a lot of strategies kind of developed. Disrupt didn't really know where they wanted to go for. And again, Luminosity, they're going for the same aggressive kind of take for it once more. Oh, Thumbus just barely misses the Jaeger who rotates up to yellow, but now they know he's there.
Thumbus is still on this rappel, still waiting for any kind of rotate going on. This is very slow from Disrupt right now. Just again confirming there is indeed somewhere around this bathroom area. And yet he's moved up to the skylight as well, but only able to catch someone out like that early when you really should be right now, it's not good. But they're still playing on top of yellow, should be able to get naded, but Thumbus is taking a lot of hits from a run out, and that is not good. Factor with it all the way from Visa run out is going to find the first frag of the round.
Disrupt again, just slacking. Castle Barricade tried to get opened up by Habana, but they didn't check the indent in towards that B bomb site. Well, do you see the refrag though? Little refrag as a frag red kill for Yeti, but still for Disrupt, no real headway in. Once more, no headway into the bomb site. They're just lurking around, waiting for Luminosity to pick them, but Luminosity have had great patience, I feel, this game on their defense. They have just waited. They know how to play it well. Doodle still being allowed to be here is their biggest concern, and typically we would see Capital be brought in to deal with that specific position. Oh look, Capital's being banned by Luminosity for that specific reason.
Yeah, the Capital definitely makes this console push a lot harder to try and make happen. Doodle still holding down his indent, as you said, but he doesn't have any smokes left remaining. However, he still has a gun, he still has that shotgun, and he should be able to hold down those close angles as well. But meanwhile, Thomas below, still playing with his nitro, takes a drone off the board, and Nancy tries to peek around, but instantly just gets deleted, and yet he picks up a double kill for himself.
Yeah, he can also eliminate the smoke as it gets opened, and Doodle, he says hello. Somehow he's made that work, and Doodle is still allowed to sit in there with nobody pushing. I say that, here comes another man up to bat the cage, but doesn't seem to be the case for Disrupt. They don't know what to do. They're stopping. Why? Keep pushing. You need to fight through this because you cannot allow Luminosity to get back into the game. Somehow, Doodle is still allowed to play inside of B with no real care in the world. And another frag for him as the swing-in tried to come in through the double windows, and Spades, well, he just missed all his shots. And that's disappointing. That sums up Disrupt's round. And Luminosity, thanks to Doodle, have held on to this one.
What a disaster coming through here. But round number 11 going underway now, and this is neck and neck still, but Luminosity definitely having the upper hand here, but I can really see an overtime lurking over us. As I said, we are going to go downstairs to that garage defense. Once again, it looks like, no, actually, a surprise from Luminosity, and they're going to be bringing the lobby press room to bear. And I think this is the play, honestly, from Luminosity, because you'd rather do this now rather than inevitably go there next round.
Well, I mean, you look at the setup from Disrupt. They have brought the same kind of lineup of operators like nearly every single round, but that's kind of like a custom of Consulate, where if you pick a standard lineup every single round, you should be able to deal with like every bomb site generically, similar to what we see in like Coastline, for example, or Bank, which has like every bomb site available. It's not as predictable, and really, I kind of feel 5 operators will do the job on Consulate for every defense. There's not like a must-pick operator for every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that. I'm looking at the lineup from Disrupt, so they see the Cade, which then gets 6 points of the Legion. I'm going to guess the Cade was just meant to think that they were going to hold the downstairs rather than go to the lobby press room. So that's good and all. But Disrupt see that, and they 6th pick their Thatcher, and they bring the Dokkaebi instead, which is weird, I think. Maybe for like an aggressive roam player? It also brings nades on the board, but no, actually, Dokkaebi's brought smokes.
Yeah, because that's what they were lacking in their garage pushes that we mentioned, was they didn't have that clear way of cutting off sightlines. And again, the Dokkaebi effect is universal. It's going to affect everybody in the defense. Can be a pesky thing to deal with.
The Echo.
Yes, do you know why it can't affect the Echo? Because Echo and Dokkaebi used to date, but he was like, nah, I'm not having it, and I'm going to block your number. It's not actually, it's because Echo's drone is actually closed circuit.
Right.
That's why you can't like control his Echo drones, because he can only
we got a couple explanations there.
Yeah, that's why Dokkaebi can't hack into it, because it's just a closed connection. But we'll go with the whole they used to go out, which is lore related.
Yeah, I like the first one. But we'll see round number 11 getting underway. We are neck and neck right now as Luminosity are going to be pushing to the lobby press room defense instead. I do like the addition of smokes to this lineup. I think this is definitely what Disrupt need to be able to bring this in and go for just a straight up execute rather than to do with the roaming game heavily.
So Luminosity will be setting up stairs, which is something that they didn't do last time as heavily as what they're doing this time around. Like even the mirror window in towards admin just shows that they're going to have much more of an aggressive fight, and they know that Disrupt, they want to go for the top floor clear. Like this time on the last round, everybody from Luminosity was out of the top floor. They all fell back down. They gave Disrupt that opening, and even Disrupt, they didn't really go that hard in towards the top floor. You know, we seen it. Mira was able to rotate back upstairs and control the hatch. They just kind of seen it as, okay guys, we're not really doing much. Let's just try and walk in towards the front door. Nobody from Luminosity was there to kind of capitalize on that mistake that Disrupt led themselves into, which still ended up as a Disrupt win, but I don't think it's going to be the same case this time around.
Smokes are going to be coming out very early on from Luminosity to try and deny this upside control, as Spade still holding onto the balcony rappel, but it's going to be Rexon who goes down to start with from Carnage, just holding down this sort of paper angle through onto Projector, see what he can do to try and get in here. We still do know there's Doodle on the smoke up here. The flashbangs go deep into Long Desk.
He's the man to kill, and well, he gets 1 kill, but very swiftly and aggressively traded back out by Spades. And now it relies on the 3 players remaining for Luminosity to make this a success. They still have the Echo. Can try and deny the plant, just give that constant information I'm sure his teammates are sitting on. But Luminosity, they're not really in a great position to try and stop the guys running in, bar that Echo Drone. Hyena, a lot of pressure on you. You're the first man up to try and defend this, and the spray comes in, but very quickly dodged away, and that's the power that they bring of the smoke grenades. And, well, here goes the C4 being tossed away, but they have decided to dance away from death and have now positioned themselves better in towards the bomb site. Luminosity still above Thomas somehow. He shuts down the plant, and that's the diffuser call, but has been picked back up, but Thomas still above. Will rain terror once more and still going for it, and the collapse from Factor. That puts an end to it. Luminosity, they walk away with a round, and Disrupt, they just forced their way in and having no cover whatsoever.
Factor's not having a good day today. But we will move to Luminosity on a match point here on our first map on Consulate. So, you know, things looking really good here. But don't forget we have Villa next up, and that's Disrupt's map pick. So even if they fall here, they definitely have a chance to bring us to our decider.
It's the glory of best of freeze, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Like, Disrupt shouldn't be too worried here, honestly. But I think they still have a good chance of bringing this to OT. But this garage attack was absolutely brutal last time.
But they're bringing the gridlock this time, which is great because it also helps them with their roam kind of flank, which Luminosity, they are happy enough to expose. We know that kind of playstyle, a very loose, fragger, harmonious playstyle that Luminosity want to go for. It can be shut down with a great Nomad gridlock combination, because like getting Nomad into a bed of spikes is not fun one bit, and it provides the smokes as well, which is the most important thing, I would say.
I also was talking about during our last map as well, bringing the gridlock here and like smoking and then putting track stingers in the smokes as well, to completely stop you from pushing through those smokes at all. It also gives you the cover that is so desperately needed, really, from Disrupt here to push this downstairs site. So, we'll have a look at what's going to be going on here. I kind of thought that Luminosity might have brought the Cade here, since they did tease it last round, but they're going to stick with the same line that they would be bringing before, and it did work out for them. So it is really Luminosity's to lose here now.
It is. It's their map. It's down to them if they want to pull away and have a nice, strong one-map lead against Disrupt. And fair play to Disrupt. They had a really good opener, but Luminosity just kind of woke up. They said, you know what, guys, this is not good enough. Let's get back into the game. And, you know, they're on the cusp of taking this first map, but it's going to have to go up against Disrupt, who have brought a great lineup for this. Everything looks correct. You have the soft destruction, the flank coverage as well, and they're going to need it whenever Luminosity have create a funhouse up there with all the hatches being open and rotations and whatnot. But equally, Disrupt, they look as if they're ready to start pushing in and clear out some of these roamers.
So, we will see track stingers are going to be going down from Arenes, making sure that Visa flank is completely cut off.
Yeah, that's two being used.
And, you know, like, I think that's the big danger of Consulate, though, like the flanking that is very prevalent on this map. There's 3 staircases that go from the basement all the way to the top floor. It can be very, very prevalent. Flanking, we saw that from Flumbus during Disrupt's defenses. It could definitely be a factor here. But let's have a look at what Disrupt want to do here for the rest of their attack. I think it's going to be mainly centered about going for that garage side push.
Yeah, so they've put 2 sets of track stingers and 2 air jabs on the flank. Overkill? Definitely, because now they're kind of lucky. Whoever comes up that staircase, I worry for them, because they're going to be in for a world of hurt, and they're just going to be tossed around and track stingered and everything. And Rexon, I'm pretty sure, has accidentally fallen off, because he didn't get pressured one bit. There were still ADSs alive and well, and that could honestly cost them, because, you know, he's took up honestly no time. He's took up no utility, and now he's back on site. And there's no way he's flanking, as we know.
No, we'll see C4s are going to go out pretty early on. Thumbus convinced that someone should indeed push from him. Carnage kind of trick out with this bandit here. It looks like as the Nitro is going to go off, but the bandit unable to bandit trick, and panels 1 and 3 will be opened up efficiently by Carnage. Still about 50 seconds left to go on the clock, and Disrupt, again, like last time, they have everything set up for them right here, but it just fell out of their grasp last time.
It's the final exam that they need to pass. Well, what a way to do so on the cusp of defeat. First Toxic Babe gets tossed in by the smoke as Raid will start firing on in with the LMG, trying to create a couple of pot shots, but nobody from Luminosity gets hit by those. Disrupt, you're still upstairs. You need to give this man some support. You need to try and prioritize, but hey, here comes the massive flank, a two-man flank at that. But another air jab goes off, and that is completely shut down. Disrupt pretty much, and well, LG, they have to try and retake this. Reed still firing on all cylinders as Thomas tries to push on in and will eliminate the ban in a perfect position, stops the plant as well. LG, they've became awake, the upstairs control's still there. Oh, the pistol whip
Tommy.
as well. Spades no time, Luminosity, they take the first map, exploiting Disrupt for everything they have, and well, Disrupt, just, the final minute, the final execution is what they need to work on.
Yeah, well, Disrupt shouldn't be too unhappy about that. Of course, a map that they definitely could have taken for themselves. They were looking insanely good at the first half of that, and Thomas just went huge at the end of that. But we'll be right back with our second map of the series. It is going to be Vela